Hindu editorial, August 28th. Coordinated attacks. Pakistan cannot take a militaristic approach to the Baloch conflict. Ever since the Taliban, hosted by Pakistan security forces, recaptured Kabul in August 2021, Pakistan, especially in its Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provinces neighboring Afghanistan, has seen a surge in terrorist attacks. In 2023 alone, there were over 650 recorded attacks, with 23% occurring in Balochistan, which is Pakistan's largest province by landmass and a hotbed of separatist insurgency. But even in this new normal, Monday was one of the bloodiest days for Balochistan and Pakistan. On the 18th death anniversary of Nawab Akbar Bugti, a Baloch nationalist leader killed by the Pakistani military in 2006, separatists carried out coordinated attacks across the province. The Baloch Liberation Army has claimed responsibilities for the many deaths. According to security officials, the separatists damaged infrastructure and executed migrant laborers from Punjab. That the attacks occurred in different parts of Balochistan show the growing reach and capability of the insurgency. Bhukti's death anniversaries have been seen violent incidents in the past, but Pakistan's military and intelligence services were caught off guard on August 26. Historically, Pakistan has taken a ruthless militarist approach towards the Baloch problem. Balochistan, despite its wealth of natural resources, in the country's most impoverished region. Pakistan has historically neglected the province. Punjab, on the other hand, grew to be influential in national politics and economically prosperous, leading a strong anti-Punjab tendency within the section of Baloch community. This, along with poor living conditions, was exploited by the separatists to drum up support for their cause. They often attack the federal government for extracting resources without offering any help to the local economy. Baloch separatists have cited the China Pakistan Economic Corridor, which goes through the province, as an example of this exploitation and targeted Chinese interests. The Pakistan establishment has also failed to engage with the civil rights movements in Balochistan, such as the Baloch Yakjehti Committee, which organized several sit-ins in Islamabad and Baloch cities this year to draw the attention of the federal authorities to widespread human rights abuses in the province. Such activists were often painted as enemies of Pakistan, which left the military with the only option of using force against to widespread human rights abuse in province. Such activists were often painted as enemies of Pakistan, which left the military with the only option of using force against the separatists. But state violence has only strengthened the separatists, as the latest attacks underscore. If Pakistan is serious about stability and security in its largest province, it should take measures to address the developmental concerns of the locals, stop the right violations, and engage with a peaceful civil rights voices to reset ties with Balochis. Advancing equity from COVID 19 to Mpox. Less than 5 years after the COVID 19 pandemic, the world faces the threat of another global health crisis. The World Health Organization has once again declared Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, a public health emergency of international concern (PHEIC), following its outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Africa, and subsequently spreading to over a dozen African countries. This comes as on the heels of the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Africa CDC declaration of a public health emergency of continental security. PHEC is marking the first instance where both regional and global health emergencies have been declared concurrently for the same disease. In the days following the PHEIC declaration, cases of Mpox were identified in Sweden, Pakistan, and the Philippines, indicating that the virus has likely spread beyond the African continent. This WHO declaration is significant as it is the first PHEIC announced since the May 2024 amendments to the International Health Regulation (IHR). And of all the IHR reforms, the inclusion of equity as a core principle was perhaps the most important. Although these amendments will not take effect until 2025, it is crucial that the global response to the mpox outbreak is grounded in this principle from the outset. Those amendments further expand WHO's role as a facilitator of essential medical products during emergencies. PHEIC is intended to foster international cooperation. Countries, international organizations, and non-governmental organizations must collaborate to coordinate their responses, share information, and provide mutual assistance. The declaration should trigger the rapid mobilization of financial and technical resources, including emergency funding, deployment of trained healthcare workers, and provisions of medical supplies. Mirroring the COVID 19 pandemic response, one of the most glaring shortcomings exposed by the COVID 19 pandemic was the inadequacy of vaccine manufacturing capabilities in the global south, exacerbated by the lack of technology transfer and the know how to produce vaccines develops in the West. So far, the global response to the mpox outbreak appears to be following a similar trajectory. However, the present response to mpox differs significantly from COVID 19 in one aspect: the availability of vaccine. The modified vaccinia Ankara Bavarian Nordic MVABN, also known as Zyneos, is already in production by Danish manufacturer Bavarian Nordic. This vaccine, produced using primary chick embryo fibroblast CFF cell culture, shared its production process with several other vaccines, including those for measles, mumps, rabies, and tick-borne encephalitis. Regularity authorities in the European Union and United Kingdom marked as IMVANEX, United States and Switzerland marketed as Zyneos, and Canada marketed as Imvanmune, have already approved the vaccine. Mpox outbreak presents an opportunity to apply lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic by ramping up vaccine production in the global south and leveraging the existing MVABN vaccine. Indian manufacturers in particular have the potential to play a crucial role in ensuring equitable access to this vaccine, ensuring it reaches the population that need it the most at the right time. Indeed, India was a crucial partner during COVID-19, facilitating the mass production of the vaccine, largely credited with the saving of most lives. Oxford AstraZeneca's vaccine, marketed in India as Covishield. Ensuring technology transfers. As countries closely monitor the mpox outbreaks, the demand for vaccines is expected to surge. The Africa CDC estimates that 10 million doses are needed to stem the outbreak, yet only about 0.21 million doses may be available immediately. Bavarian Nordic has informed the Africa CDC that it has the capacity to manufacture 10 million doses by the end of 2025. The price of an mpox shot has been estimated at $100. This underscores a need for sustainable low-cost production of MVABN vaccine. India is well positioned to meet this challenge. Three major vaccine manufacturers, the Serum Institute of India, Bharat Biotech, and Zydus Cadila, already have the experience of producing vaccines using CEF cells. Notably, the Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech played pivotal roles in both the national and global responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. These manufacturers likely have the expertise to quickly scale up MVP production in CFF cells. Additionally, they may already have established supply chains for key materials such as SPF eggs, which could be leveraged to expand production. The lower cost structure of manufacturers in lower middle income countries, LMICs, could also reduce the price of vaccine, increasing demand and making those more accessible. Rapidly scaling up MVABN production will require comprehensive technology transfer, including the sharing of biological resources, know-how, and patents. Often overlooked, the transfer of the relevant know-how is crucial and has historically been a major hurdle in outbreak responses. It is the sharing of knowledge rather than just doses that distinguishes charity from justice. Writing on the key contentious issues in the ongoing negotiation for the WHO pandemic treaty, in this daily editorial page, The Global Struggle of a Pandemic Treaty, August 1, 2024, these writers argued that technology transfers are needed to ensure diverse manufacturing capacities globally so that LMICs are no longer reliant on charity from high income countries and can maintain self sufficiency. The Indian government, along with regulators, should collaborate with the United States, the European Union, the key international organizations such as WHO, Gavi, and the Coalition of Epidemic Preparedness Innovation (CEPI) to negotiate with Bavarian Nordic for the transfer of technology by leveraging the expertise and the experience of these organizations and working with manufacturers in developing countries. These efforts can help scale low-cost production and ensure equitable access to the MVA-BN vaccine, thereby curtailing the epidemic and preventing further outbreaks that would benefit countries both in the global north and south. A move with impact. In a recent significant move on August 7, India's drug regulatory agency, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, waived the requirement for clinical trials in India for drugs approved in the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, Australia, Canada, and the European Union. This waiver, which includes new drugs used in the pandemic situation, will expedite the availability of critical vaccines such as MVABN in the country. In the face of mpox outbreak, the global community has a critical opportunity to demonstrate its commitment to equitable prevention and healthcare by ensuring widespread access to mpox vaccine targeted to those most in need. By fostering international cooperation, prioritizing technology transfer, and leveraging the manufacturing capabilities of countries such as India, we can not only address the current crisis but also strengthen our preparedness for future public health emergencies. The time is to act is now before history repeats itself. Reasonable limits. Laissez-faire approach to content hosting, not commitment to free speech. That free speech is not absolute and is subject to certain restrictions for public order, morals, and public health is something that has been codified in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The founder and chief executive officer of Telegram, Pavel Durov, is a technology creator who has emphasized absolute free speech on his platform and has built um, an anti-establishmentarian image by risking the wrath of nation states in allowing dissidents to use the messaging application. This detention and arrest by French authorities in connection with investigation related to criminal activity on the app has raised the question if this has been done to provide chilling effect on freedom of expression on the internet. But the answer is more complicated. His laissez-faire approach to content on the app has meant that it is host also to extremism, drug dealers, scammers, and according to France, child pornography as well. Mr. Durov has said privacy is more important than a fear of bad things happening, and that to be truly free, you should be ready to risk everything for freedom. But can it be done to override the responsibility to prevent consequences which could endanger people's safety and freedom? This is a key question to ask about messaging apps and free speech absolutists. Telegram is more than just a messaging app given some of its social networking features. While its encryption mechanism allow for ease of access for dissidents and anti-state factors to use the app without scrutiny, it does not fully use end-to-end encryption, something that apps such as Signal do. This means that some messages related to criminal activity, disinformation, and child pornography can be tracked by Telegram. It can act on requests from law enforcement agencies if needed. Telegram, in response to Dr. Durov's request, has said its moderation is within industry standards and has questioned whether the platform owners are liable or responsible for abuse of that platform. That may well be the case. But if the investigation by France, the platform is seen to have willfully refused to act upon requests to curb hate speech, disinformation, and content-related criminal activity, Mr. Durov cannot and should not escape the long arm of the law. India, the baleful effects of misinformation on platforms such as WhatsApp are visible some years ago. Before the application came up with certain restrictions, these helped tamp down the spread of misinformation. For Telegram to remain free speech advocate and a platform, it just eschew absolutism and become more responsible in moderating content. The continuing churn in the Chinese military. August 1, 2024 marked the 97th anniversary of founding of the Chinese People's Liberation Army PLA, and the week was celebrated with pomp and show. But there were also sombre inspections and clandestine changes in the military leadership. More specifically, the southern northern theaters of the PLA witnessed a change in commanders, with General Wu Yanan and General Hu Milang respectively taking charge sometime in the last month. These new appointments, revealed rather silently in the provincial coverage of August 1 ceremonies, are the latest in a line of dismissals and replacements in the PLA, and are stirring the pot of circulation over potential reasons and implications. Tumult, tumult in the southern, tumult in the southern theater. In recent months, China has been embroiled in skirmishes with the Philippines in the South China Sea. It has drawn critique from regional powers such as Japan and the United States, and has caused the overall security situation to deteriorate, with China's external environment becoming increasingly hostile, as expressed in President Xi Jinping's oft repeated words, profound changes unseen in a century. The PLA is expected to transform into a world class military force prepared to take on diverse regional conflicts. Hence, the surreptitious removal of General Wang Zuyobin as a commander of the Southern Theater may signal his perceived inefficiencies in solidifying China's ambitious and belligerent vision of naval power. However, beyond these obvious factors, internal politics within the theatre command may also have something to do with Wang's replacement. In June 2024, the Central Military Commission (CMC), China's highest decision-making body on defense matters, organized its political work conference. Soon after, the Southern Theatre Command organized a study session to understand and implement the conference's spirit. It was revealed then that a joint training exercise has been recently conducted between the theatre's various naval units, and that the results were dismal. More specifically, during this exercise, some political officers were found to be very inefficient in fulfilling their wartime mobilization duties. In April 2024, various military officers in the theatre also met to discuss tension between older veterans and new leading officers. It has concluded that the common goal for all the theatre personnel was to evolve from mutual discontent to mutual support, and as the theatre grappled with issues pertaining of cohesion and efficiency, it had to establish a fault tolerance mechanism to allow personnel to make these mistakes, report errors without the fear of reprimand, and enable rectification upon inspection. When sweeping reforms in the PLA were first initiated in 2015, they promised to create a perfect military force, the emphasis on achieving flawless interoperability, creating a seamless hierarchy where younger personnel had the freedom to innovate, and building an exquisite mechanism for wartime mobilization have also barely wavered. But in less than a decade, these developments in the Southern Theatre have shown the faultiness in the reform vision. Implication for the PLA. In this light, it is important to assess what General Wu Yanan's leadership may mean for the Southern Theatre Command. To begin with, a potential reason for Wu's appointment as Theatre Command may be that he has extensive experience working side by side with party bosses. Wu is veteran of the CMC Joint Staff Department, having served as Deputy Chief of Staff. He has previously also served as commander of the Central Theatre, working closely with officials in Beijing on critical national security issues. In this regard, his appointment to the Southern Theatre may well be about implementing the Chinese Communist Party's reform agenda to a T, achieving jointness between various forces attached to the theatre in vital, and Wu's experience may be helpful here. Within a week of his appointment making the news, the Southern Theatre Command has sprung back on its feet and has declared that it has everything under control. In fact, the joint maritime and aerial patrols conducted by the theatre's forces on August 7 near the Scarborough Islands show that the theatre is already testing its reconnaissance and early warning capabilities, rapid maneuverability, and joint strike proficiency in the disrupted region. With Wu in charge, it is likely that both combat preparedness and and political cohesion in the theater will be subject to more pressure tests, and frequent demonstrations of military might in the South China Sea may become vital parameter of efficiency. On a broader level, the changes reveal that the PLA's reform bucket list is nowhere near fulfilled. It also indicates that this period of flux in the PLA, which is marked by purges and replacement motivation by corruption scandals and inefficiencies in reform, is nowhere near over. However, the new leadership is expected to put the internal affairs of the theatre concerned in order so that the military force can inch closer to goal of becoming world class one by mid-century. Lessons for India. From the Indian perspective, it is important that it is able to gather much from these changes as far as a nature of leadership in the PLA is concerned, as the CCCP's army military commanders are not just assigned based on merit or experience but also on loyalty to the party state's goals and priorities. Given that China is both India's principal rival and its most significant military challenge, India must strive to study the doctrinal evolution of reforms in the PLA and place the leadership changes in the context. See you in the next one.